to the liver, tumor on the left lung. It has completely covered the omentum wall and peritoneum. Wait, stop, I can't breathe. I consider myself a word person, and there are already 3 words I don't understand. Each probably has a whole textbook to define it. I keep looking out the hallway window for the nurse in the puppy shirt to save me. He stops reading. He's finished describing you in medical terms that the tumor board has agreed upon. You realize a description this big and complex took a group of doctors to write. You want to hit delete and go back to the old description of yourself, the one without the medical terms mixed in. You can't. He is waiting for you to say something. You can tell this because he has set down his script in a neat stack, and his back has now come in contact with the rest of his chair. He has far too much compassion in his eyes. He is not going away. He waits. You are speechless. He asks my husband and me if we have any questions. We have, but we only ask those with answers we think we can swallow without choking. Which surgeon do you recommend? How did this start? What is a low-fiber diet? We leave. Without exchanging a word, my husband and I take the elevator down 3 floors and walk out. I know that my legs are there, but I can't feel them. I move my body forward down the 8 steps to the sidewalk. My senses are smacked by the crisp November air. I want to take a deep breath, but I find I am only taking shallow sips. The familiar scent of the coming snow in the mountain air, full of pine, is suddenly too bold and too full of life for me to bear. My eyes well up at all the questions still running through my head that we didn't ask. How long do I have? Will I have Thanksgiving in my sister's cabin, or will I be too sick to make the 4-hour drive? Will I miss the baby's first birthday, December 17th? Will I make it home for Christmas with the kids? Will I make it through the surgery? Having been told I should have the surgery immediately is more than enough information on how fast the train is moving. We find we are holding hands, my mitten in the clasp of his glove, walking silently towards St. John's Church on Pine Street. For my problem, I figure I probably need the big church, but it's locked. So we naturally cross the courtyard to the chapel. I'm grateful to enter the dim light and for the wooden pew that holds the 5 tons of lead that have filled my body. My gaze is resting on the stone floor, the colors from the stained glass strewn unevenly across it. I let the tears come. I just sit there and cry. I'm crying in a way that I don't recognize. At 40, these are tears that are coming from somewhere I don't feel ready to know about. My husband cries right beside me. I've never heard such sadness emerge from him before. We hold on to each other as only 2 people who might be separated forever do. You will hear the wind for the first time, as you never have before. Hear it whipping around the outside of the chapel. Hear its delicate whistle through the highest branches. You will hear those branches click and rattle softly. Through tear-rimmed eyes, you will notice its cold breath whispering in under a heavy wooden door, stirring a dried and dead autumn leaf into a slow dance across the vestibule. Time passes. How much I'm not certain. I stand and walk to the candles in their rows. Some are lit, each I imagine with a whispered prayer. The wooden matches tremble in their box under my shaking hand. I take one out and I light 3 candles, one for each of my children. The sound of my own fear, a noise which I have never heard before, arises from deep within, shaking my body with all the possibilities of loss. The sound of a mother sobbing at the threat of being taken from her children, the most unbearable sound in the world, reduces me to stone. Thank you for this chapel where I can fall apart. Help me find my way through this maze. Please don't take me from my children. They need me. I want to see my baby grow up. I'm not ready to let go of his little hand. Help me, please. I'm so afraid. I'm so heartbroken. This might be the first time you find yourself praying. You may wonder to whom you are praying, or you might already know. Either way, you might become more familiar with this part of yourself as the train departs. You will mentally wave goodbye to loved ones as it slowly chugs out of the station. The people you love can't come with you. You will have to ride this train by yourself. You know this, and you are so scared that you can feel every nerve standing at attention. You are acutely aware that this is your train. Then you turn to take your seat on that train, and you're relieved to find there are others, lots of others, who are already here. Their knowing glances tell you that you'll have company for the ride. This may be the single most important thing to know during your journey. You may be scared, but you are not alone. Cancer is like that. At first, you can't believe that you are waiting in a room of a cancer center. It's not like the waiting room anywhere else because all of these people are in some way affected by cancer. You don't want to be one of these people. You don't want to believe this. It's the person next to you in that waiting room looking like he is doing well who helps you see the first piece of tangible evidence that there are people who survive this. One moment you are spiraling down, sure that you are utterly alone, and then circumstances reveal that you are not. This is where hope comes in and puts an arm around you. So that's that chapter. I hesitate to go further. I could read a short, either Friendship in the Map, which is about what happens with friendships, or I don't think I'll read both.
Carrie, why don't you just choose one short passage to leave us with?
Okay. Well, I'll get you through to this part of the chapter. Someone asked me recently if we could stop our lives and freeze and in one moment have a snapshot that would really sum up one of your happiest moments and everything about your life that means the most to you, what would that be? Well, that's a really big question. And I was happy to find that the answer to my question was already in my book in a chapter called Bermuda. So we go to Bermuda, and the first line of the chapter is June 2nd, 2004. Bermuda is a place I've dreamt of going. Like a lot of things I had been saving for later, I decide to go now. And I tell you why I went, how I went, and that I'm there, and we're having that experience. And later in the chapter, here's my moment. That evening, now I've got 3 kids and my husband and I, so all 5 of us are there. That evening, all 5 of us are standing on the dock of our modest cottage in Salt Kettles, showered and dressed for dinner and admiring the last fading colors of the sunset. A rogue wind begins to whip about, rocking the dock. The ferry leaves for Hamilton in 15 minutes. Shall we head over for dinner? Amory asks. Amory is my husband, offering to save us from the sudden change of weather. With a quick glance over my shoulder, I can see that Chanel has spun a different plan altogether, one she knows is ridiculous and not about to happen, but she throws it out there anyway. I dare you, Mom, Chanel says to me, a crazed anticipation in her voice, a wild look in her eye, sizing up my silk dress flowing in the wind, and then raising her eyebrow while tipping her head towards the white caps on the water. She knows full well my utter fear of dark water, rough water, or any body of water at night. This makes getting me to even think of jumping into this water a complete impossibility. She knows that I absolutely won't. But I can see that somewhere way deep down she's hoping that I might. You dare me? I reiterate, watching her eyes widen. I simply can't resist the challenge. Kicking off my heels, I head down the dock at a clipping pace, jumping without a moment's hesitation and shrieking with delight. I hear the kids screaming, "No way!" as I hit the dark, choppy water. As my head pops up, I look at them all standing on the edge of the dock, an absolute thrilled disbelief on their faces, especially Amory. And then I go on to tell you how that winds up, and the last part of the chapter is, For no other reason loftier than now, I had jumped off the dock. What Chanel had dared me to do was so much more than jump into the ocean. She had dared me to live, and I took her up on it. I'm doing it. I'm jumping into my own life now. The raw material of cancer has made a different person out of me. And the final insight, I have some insights at the end of some chapters, and the one here is kind of a nice one for us to end with. Cancer is like that. It not only changes the way in which we see and hear things, it ultimately changes the way we respond to the world around us. Laughing is good for you. Children laugh an average of 400 times a day, while adults pale in comparison at only 12. With cancer, we've been ushered into the now, and we can take this as an opportunity to return to the mindset of children. We were once this way, not thinking as much of the future as we did of the moment at hand. Let's feel the wonder of our lives again, the thrill of taking chances, the joy of laughter. Let's take the one life we do have in front of us right now and jump in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carrie. And for all of you that weren't joining us last night, you can find out more about Carrie's book and also purchase it by either visiting the Caring for Carcinoid Foundation website or by calling us in the office.
Here's some bookmarks that have the book title and all, so they can take one of those. That would help you to see the title.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carrie. And Carrie mentioned in her last passage that she read, she mentioned that challenge and overcoming that challenge. And now as I'm about to introduce our speaker for our closing remarks, I think about the challenge that Nancy herself faced when she was diagnosed, like so many of you patients here, with a rare, uncurable cancer. And Nancy faced that challenge, like so many of you are, head on. And she decided to found the Caring for Carcinoid Foundation. And as we've learned here today, since Nancy took this bold move in founding the foundation, we have awarded over $4.5 million to scientific researchers, many of those that you heard from here today. So I think that in the spirit of Carrie's challenge and of Nancy really answering that challenge, I think kind of lost my train of thought. I apologize, but I would like to introduce Nancy.
Today was a fabulous day, and I was so glad to see so many of you. As I said this morning, each person here is a hero. From the patient to your supporters to the physicians and everyone else involved in the process. All of you heroes to date have raised over $4.5 million for the Caring for Carcinoid Foundation's push for a cure. I'd like you all to take a moment to congratulate yourselves on that incredible figure for a rare cancer that most have never heard from. Please, Lauren, lead the round of applause. But as you heard from our researchers, they have made great progress, but they have a long way to go on many fronts. To find a cure, it is critical that we understand the biology of these tumors. We must understand the underlying genetic composition of these tumors. A collaboration between clinicians and scientists must exist. The Caring for Carcinoid Foundation facilitates these goals by funding talented scientists, funding and creating a national bioconsortium, holding annual symposiums in order to enable discussion between clinicians and scientists, as well as requiring funded scientists to share all of their discoveries so that all the public can have access to it, and in order to facilitate rapid, targeted treatments. It's time for us all to prepare ourselves for a tougher fight ahead. $4.5 million sounds like a lot of money, but the reality of scientific research is that it is very, very expensive. And while we have made many wonderful discoveries, which you've heard about today, we have a long way to go. But looking at the support from all of you here today, I am undaunted by how far we need to go. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being here. Please let us know how we can continue to help you. Have a wonderful evening.